Well, sorry about that. Goodbye, folks. No,
Yeah.
welcome. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's MBTV News. This is a news program where we look at highlights from the week in the world of immersive spaces online, virtual worlds, and that sort of thing, including some of the haptics that go with them. And yeah, and that's about it, really. My name is Mal Burns, and you can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/malburns, where I've, like everybody else, they squash me, of course. So it's MALBURNS. And that's also where I post loads of links throughout the week to breaking news items or interesting articles, things like that. And the highlights from that list, so to speak, are what I am actually covering on this program for you. Without further ado, I also, you may notice that somebody is sitting at the news desk with me. This is none other than my other glorious assistant, James
Oh,
Atlloud. He is here basically because he's filling with the knobs. Under the desk there, he's got a selection of knobs to fiddle with. Some control audio, some control video, and who knows what the others do. Yes.
all right.
Better not go there. Better not go there.
All right.
But yes, anyway, he does speak as well. So welcome to James.
Yeah, hi, Mal. I'm doing great this week. Thanks for that glowing introduction. I feel special.
There's a song about that. I can't remember. I'm
I believe it.
always kissing behind to the Pretenders. I'm special.
Mm,
Yes,
mm,
yeah, so
yep.
special. Yeah, that's an old song actually. Yeah, but it shows where my head is at. A few decades back,
Hmm.
for sure. Right. Well, there was something interesting, anecdotal I was going to mention here, um, and I've gone and forgotten what it is. It's something like an anniversary, but it's not directly related to our show. So if it
Okay.
pops up, if I remember, I will remember. If I don't, I don't. Easy
Yep.
enough that one. Yes. Okay. So I also have a feed at Mastodon. Well, I actually have several, but I have one which is at Metaworld at mastodon.social, which is where I post interesting videos that have come up during the week of a general, Metaworld nature. And the posts there actually do go across to my Twitter feed, but when I'm on this program, I'm sort of just covering them separately because they're video. And we oh, I'm running out of breath already. Whatever.
Mm.
We have another still breathing thing. I think today must be something
Okay.
in the air. Right. We have a screen up, in fact, showing you my Mastodon account. There, you can see the link on it where my mouse is floating. I just thought I'd start. We don't really have any other videos to show you this week, so I just thought I'd run down the ones that are here in reverse order. In fact, let me see. That's sort of about where I want to be, isn't it? There we are. Right. The first one, of course, is the video version of This Week in XR. With Charlie Fink and also Ted Schilowitz and Roni Obovitz. Indeed, all three of them now, plus their guest, who's vice president of Calcom, a chap called Hugo Schwart. Um, you've probably seen the regulars have probably seen enough of these anyway. Sort of, it's fairly good roundup at the end of the week with discussion and things. It's probably preferable to his roundup blogs and things, which if you follow the news, you probably have seen it already. But we'll get to that later. Anyway, as I say, this is okay. Usually they're about an hour. These, let me see. Yeah,
Colleagues Rony Abovitz and Ted Schilowitz. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good it's morning, March 3rd. It is an auspicious day in.
right. Okay. As I say, 52 minutes there. Obviously, if you're watching it, linking here from YouTube, from Twitter, sorry, you can watch it here. You can watch it as an embed on YouTube as a rule, but also you can click through to YouTube to save it to a playlist and anything you particularly want to do with it there. Right, another one just a day ago was this week's Between Realities. Now, this was a bit of an open house. This is actually their season finale, so I guess we won't be seeing them for a few weeks now. Um, they their guest was members of the VR community, and quite literally, they
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Between Realities VR podcast, where there are absolutely no technical issues ever.
None.
We always do a test recording.
We do.
And guess why? And guess why we always do it? It's because we always have like a preloaded guest.
Yeah.
You know, like in the wings, like, and we're testing their audio and our audio. And then we have this whole spiel that we go through to make sure that we're all on the same page.
okay. Well, that's what they normally do, but this week they've opened it up to everybody. I don't think, yeah, they have one video guest.
In the earlier days of the show than we've been lately. You know, like for a while it was like kind of like the intention of the conversations was to get there with everybody and like see what everybody could bring to that conversation, and that's why we had people like
Right.
Called the mountain. Right. And I was expecting,
Okay, I'm not gonna. We're not hearing any of the guests, are we?
season.
oh, thank you. I'm just going to adjust you here.
Everyone.
Anyway, this is Between Realities, and as I say, it was a good idea, certainly, to because they normally just the two of them, and they have one guest there, and they talk about a few things. Here they're talking about a whole load of everything, quite frankly, and with different guests popping in on video. So it's it's more engaging than most of those shows because 5 minutes later there's a new guest popping in. So it was quite a nice one. But as I say, season finale there, nearly 2 hours season finale. I hasten to add, they're longer than we are. Right. Now a special episode of a podcast called The 100-Year Podcast, episode 12, which is an interview with Philip Rosedale, creator of Second Life, of course, and High Fidelity and all sorts of stuff. Very interesting podcast, this one. He's always interesting, but it's a long enough podcast that they're covering a few things that he doesn't always cover. 1 hour long, this one. Complete with Doctor Who noises by the sound of it. Yeah, two interviewers and Philip.
Here's what we got right. The passionate desire that I had since I was a kid was to create a simulated world that was comprised of building blocks that you could make interesting things with, and then let people into that world and let them make things in a big shared, adjacent, together space. And I'd say the two critical things that Second Life did, which still in some sense it kind of stands alone in, was that I realized that there were two critical requirements. One was that there be these Lego blocks that would let people build interesting things. And that, I suppose interesting is an important word there, but people would be able to build things that other people would find interesting in the 3D world. The second was an economy. Because what I figured was at least some of the people would want to exchange these things they were making with each other. And just like the real world, they would need a currency of some kind to enable them to do that. And of course, the details of what we did to enable that economy are very interesting and subtle. But I would say the two things that Second Life got right was a big open place that was a canvas for people to make things with an adequate ability to make them, and then an economy that allowed people that wanted to trade those things with each other. I think that's what we got right. I think what was hard, and this is what everybody's wrangling with today, was that sort of experience is not for everyone to a degree that when I started, I didn't fully appreciate. And that.
So, not going to play all of that for you. It's a long one, actually, as I said, over an hour there, but you get the gist of it. Sort of a nice little summary at the beginning there. Right, moving on down. We have the one that we frequently talk about here, actually. And I'm going to hand over to James for a brief minute to see if he's got anything to say about it.
It was a good show. It was nice to have David Heaney back again in his usual position. This was a little more technically oriented episode, so they were really talking a lot about some of the attributes of the PlayStation VR. People discovering that not all of its pixels are working. And so, you got to love launch projects, right? Where you just,
Our,
is the
pi-
thing working? Is it not working, right?
our pixels isn't working.
Our
Love that one.
pixels are missing. But yeah, other news about there was a kind of an intermediate MetaQuest product for 2024 that was canceled. And
Yeah,
and then talking a little bit about WebXR, which is I've always liked that concept a lot, and it
yeah,
was great because I heard one of them talk about there was a product by Razer, and it was an
yeah.
open VR standard that I thought was kind of cool, like SimRL or something like that. But so a nice steady show this week.
All right. I'll click on it very briefly. Oh, that's helpful, isn't it? We'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an hour and a half. That's what I was trying to find out. So
Yep.
that's enough for now. Anyway, you can see the format there. They've got a screen to share and avatars in front. Not all together, unlike ours, but totally different
Well,
avatars.
and nice again with the YouTube play bar. There's there's an index at the bottom,
Yeah,
that shows the topic. So it's a nice way to jump
yeah,
into something that you want to review.
yeah, exactly. Um, I don't know. I think actually, I think actually our channel may be doing that now as well. I'll have to find out. This interestingly was something different. It went. It should have just gone straight to Twitter, but it went there. I'm a big fan of a magazine called Flipboard. It launched on the iPad for many a time, for following feeds as newspaper style. And you can save links to them and everything. But it's quite interesting that that your Twitter account and everything else has sort of always been integrated with Flipboard. But now they're moving away from that towards Mastodon. Apparently, they're even considering dropping Twitter altogether because they're embracing Mastodon, which basically because Elon Musk has fucked up the actual Twitter service. So yeah, just a bit of a note there, really. And right, I think there's my back button there. Right. So, yeah, this is another one, the Singularity Lab this week, asking where the metaverse is near, VR, AR, etc., etc. And this is Ken Bai from Voices of VR, of course. He's their sort of guest on this one, so you'll recognise the voice there. They're asking the questions and he's answering them, as it were. And again, I can't remember. Yeah, I think that was been Nick from Queen. We will rock you or something, but never mind, never mind. It's 1 hour 35 minutes that show. 90 minutes is good as really, isn't it? So that's quite a long listen. And the last one I think for this week is Series 4, Episode 1 of The Future of Web 3 with Yat Siu. It's the Building of the Open Metaverse podcast. And this one's, I think it's about, yeah.
Today on Building the Open Metaverse.
We have associations with our skins. We have associations with the game avatars.
Right, looking at everything. Open Metaverse, basically, that's an hour-long podcast, so plenty for you there. And yeah, here's one that appeared last week from somewhere. Okay, well... Okay, I think you might recognise that theme tune. You heard it a few minutes ago. Oh no, what have I done? What have I done? I moved somewhere else. Yeah. Oh Lord, what? Sorry, let me reload here. Getting a bit clumsy there. Scrolling down again. Okay, so that was last week's news. This one I think we covered. Oh, what is wrong with this sometimes? Okay, we did look at Upload VR a minute ago. That's the one James was talking about. I had to apologise last week because that show hadn't got uploaded, but I'm sure I uploaded during the week, the previous week's one, just for the record. But I can't see it there, so we'll have to forget about that. We will now move on, I think, to the stuff we normally do. Which is the web pages and the links we have to various articles this week. We always start off with this. It's actually halfway down this week's list, so I think it came out on Tuesday instead of Monday. But This is a chap called Anthony Portillo, and he has a site called thescarredghost.com, and we have a sound effect for the Scarred Ghost. Indeed we do. SKARREDGHOST.com. And basically, this is his roundup of the previous week, which is like a couple of days after our show last week, so he might have had the odd thing new. But basically, it's covering it's covering what we would have covered last week. But it includes things that we don't include, so it's a good way of starting the week. Getting a roundup. I mean, PlayStation, for example, is not something I would normally cover, or 10 cents for that matter, and certainly not that four-letter word there, and the four-letter word there, you see. So he's willing to discuss four-letter words, so that is maybe a point in his favour, as opposed to me. That's another four-letter word. Yeah, this four-letter word keeps cropping up, and it's not an adjective, it's a noun, I think. But never mind. Right, anyway, so it's a roundup of the week, four-letter words included. Okay, moving down. Yes, I'm going to go down because that's the right order to go in. XR Today also has their early week roundup on the same day. XR tech giants are expanding coverage, leading to I think that's Mobile World Conference or something, actually. I love it when people use these lesser names, and I say, I wonder what that is. More sort of technical stuff, but certainly I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who are interested in all this, and it's not something I go into in great detail. So it's another good roundup site. So first of all, we have scarredghost.com, and now we have XR Today, xrtoday.com for that one. Most of these are headlines on the site, but if you follow me on Twitter, you can no doubt you'll better find these articles and click through to them, and the Twitter account always links you to the actual page the article's on. I'm afraid the ones I'm reading out here are often just the front pages. It's all available to me at the moment. It's all I can see at the front pages. But my links are actually working. Right. Moving down, the last one before we move up. This will do it. Right. This is a site called engadget.com, engadget.com. And a firm who, Exomi or something, I don't know how you pronounce them. No, clearly foreign. Sorry. Shows off its new.
It's Show Me. It's called. It's pronounced Show Me, Mel.
Oh, that's appropriate, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Well, Exomi, show me, or show me Exomi. Anyway, they're showing off their new.
Show me your knickers.
Yes, I wonder. Chinese knickers. Yes.
That's right. Show me.
Show me. Show me the way. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. No,
Yeah.
that's the Doors song. Alabama song. Predates Sweet Home Alabama. Why am I going off topic? Right. New wireless augmented reality glasses. So again, a form factor that I find fairly attractive, based on that photo. It's a Snapdragon XR2 Generation 1 processor, I guess, in them, and that's the same thing you find in the Quest Pro device as well, which isn't, of course, Show Me at all. Again, this is a review basically saying it packing a pair of micro OLED and etc. The Qualcomm plans to leverage Snapdragon Spaces platform to go with it. And no word on price or availability as yet. So that's not helpful, is it? Anyway, you'll find that at engadget.com, engadget.com. Right, now I can move up to BBC Co UK, bbc.co.uk. That's a fairly easy one, isn't it?
Yep.
Right. Article basically saying, can mind-controlled VR games help stroke patients? maybe they should have actually said, "Will mind control VR games give patients strokes?" No, oh,
Oh,
no. You clearly they've got the right way around for the point of this article, anyway. Um, yeah, depends how dizzy you get with full immersion, I think. Um, okay, the hand on the screen there is squeezing, but the student's actual hand is not. Right, so I see. So he's lost the use of his hand for squeezing and tactile things, but in the using the virtual world, his hand on screen is still doing a squeeze because his physical hand can't, but his brain can still tell the hand to do it. If you see what I mean. This is all fascinating. Even Elon Musk is getting into the outward Neuralink. Um, a monkey playing pong with its mind. That was an old clip. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
There we are. I mean, that's BBC's tech editor trying out a prototype. Obviously, well, BBC fashion statement, I suppose. I suppose you could get away with it on the catwalk, couldn't you? High tech gear for the summer, and she could strut down the catwalk or the beach or something wearing that. Um, it's probably no more cumbersome than a helmet, really. Although keeping all those sort of electrodes or whatever they are in the right position might be difficult. Anyway, why not? Why not? It's another gadget. It's another gadget, and as it says, a weird experience. There you go. Right, you'll find this at bbc.co.uk. And they also have a wonderful. They actually do have a rather good. I think you can replay the video of the program now on the iPlayer or their website or something called Click every week. They have a short version that's on BBC News, and they have a full half-hour version that they post Saturdays and Sundays. In fact, it may well be on now, for all I know, something like this time. Right, moving up the list here. Sorry, just going to dispose of the ones I've read out to avoid confusion. And now we can come to this one. This is uploadvr.com. Same people that, of course, do the download VR or VR download video. This is an article about 2 open source demos that show how WebXR could be used for full virtual reality games. This may be the one thing they were talking about also on the show that you mentioned, James.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Which is a good point because it's not just Mozilla hubs and that there are lots of XR things on the web now, and I mean some of them. The fidelity is great. In fact, better than these 2 that are shown here. Approaching the quality of something like Second Life, or even competing with possibly some of the, because some of them can even be authored in Unity or Unreal. So you're talking about the later stuff. It's really a matter of how the script that runs them on the web, as opposed to in the standalone software. Can cope with the data, but it's as they point out here, it's an open standard that can really kind of seriously contend these days with the requirements of a professional one, so to speak. Right, just hang on a second. I'm just going to quickly pop over to I need to take a quick break here actually. Here we are, the news clips. Oh, not that one. Okay, I'm just going to play you the beginning of this summit, which was from Gatherverse during the week. Well, not this week, it was at the end of February, in fact. It was quite a lot. I mean, this clip, for example, is 5 hours. You're not going to get that, but I'm going to give you a taste of what was there. It's a worthwhile clip to look up, in fact, and I'll be back in a minute.
About what the future of technology can and should be. and how it could best benefit those who will ultimately inhabit. Humanity First is the overarching theme of Gatherverse, with key topics that include accessibility, education, equality, building vibrant communities, wellness, safety, and privacy concern and ethics. For this summit, we have a distinguished roster of over 100 speakers from governments, academia, industry, and more, who will present keynotes, talks, and roundtables during this summit. These include top leaders from the ranks of designers, producers, authors, advisors, podcasters, public policy advocates, researchers, security specialists, filmmakers, education experts, community leaders, and futurists and movers who are looking to add real human value to technologies that connect us. With that said, welcome to Gatherverse Summit 2023. We welcome you. Let us prepare to explore and may our gather be well.
Oh, I don't think we need to wait 20 seconds for a countdown, do we? Okay, that was just kind of doing an introduction to that. This clip actually, I realised should have been, or I would have intended to actually post that onto the Mastodon feed that we were looking at earlier, but I didn't. So if you need to find it on Google, just go to Gatherverse Summit, GATHERVERC, sorry, VERSE Summit. And right, okay. Hopefully I'm back. I was feeling I had to take a couple of seconds there. So
Yeah.
always good to have a video to run.
Okay. All right.
A quick break. I don't know. I was feeling a bit foggy headed, but maybe it's the coffee, maybe it's not. Right. Okay. Yes. So this is Upload VR, and they are looking at the benefits of WebXR and how the standard now is really up to running full VR games if required. Illustrated article basically, and telling you how to actually try the demos. Project Flowerbed webpage is one they recommend. These, of course, when they're saying they can compete with the best, so to speak, they're also referring to Headset Land. In other words, these are not only web based on the web itself, WebXR, but they're also it's a web VR almost because you can use a lot of them actually in headsets. And they actually, they tell you, if you go to Project Flowerbird on a web page, wherever you're reading it, you just click on the button that says Send to Headset, and it will search and find this in the Quest browser, apparently. So as simple as that.
Yep.
That's what they make out. Right, moving on from that one. I'm going to go to the top of the list and work down. It's a damn sight easier, actually. Right, okay, so this was actually March the 4th. This is one of the very recent ones. This is from today, in fact, or dated the 4th. Hi in VR, how VR headsets might positively influence the psyche. This is the idea that virtuality in combination with psychedelic substances, gosh golly, will help with mental illness as opposed to the other way around. There's a lot of these things at the moment where, once upon a time the headline was saying the exact opposite and now it will say this, sort of it's an odd world where you get headlines advocating two different things. This is the world's first clinical trial of psychedelic therapy taking place in Germany. And it also involves Australian researchers and the Netherlands for psychedelic retreat. Gosh golly, this sounds like fun actually. Probably make me all dizzy, but never mind. Okay, you get the theme here. They're going into all the aspects of it. Why VR is better than audio, sounds, and It's all down to immersion and the way it's used, actually, but also particularly the way it might be used with medicines, should we say. Right. And of course, depending on where you live in the world, all this stuff is, highly trendy and a lot of people getting into it, or it's downright illegal and you don't stand a chance of getting into it. Yeah, so that's life, isn't it? This article is at mixednews.com. So it's MIXED dash NEWS.com. And right, disposing of that one, moving down the list. We're at theverge.com, frequently visited site here. I don't think Meta knows it's a game company, says Alex Granz.
I saw that headline. Yeah.
Yes, it's it's well, sort of my eyes are always alert for a four-letter word. Make sure I don't slip into the wrong site. I don't know. Yeah, Meta, of course, is the new name for the company that owns Facebook and God knows what else. And it's a good point. They basically, what limited success Meta has been having, especially with their headgear and stuff, is not totally, but it tends to be gamers and people, they're buying it to have fun with it, and Meta's way of promoting it seems to think that, oh, well, this is serious. It's going to be in business. It's going to be in the workplace. It's going to be on your home working desktop, and you're going to have meetings and stuff this way too. And they don't actually promote a sense of fun about it, really, like they would a game. Sure, there are things available that you can stick into their headset contraption and independent things that you can play that way, but they're not really promoting the gaming side of it, which does seem to be their main market at the moment, who they're just sort of ignoring. Horizon World is so bad that even the people who make it don't want to use it. That's supposed to be their gateway to the metaverse. Interesting read here at theverge.com. That's THEVERGE.com. And the next one is something I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, which I thought was rather daft. Well, apparently the authorities have taken a couple of weeks to catch up on Lord Zuckerberg, because he's now been warned not to attempt to lure teen users into his fantasy. Horizon Worlds. This is the one that nobody, even the ones who built it, can use. I did point out a couple of weeks ago that they were launching a campaign to try and get teenagers in there, and I think I was reminiscing about Teen Grid on Second Life way back in the day. He gets enough criticism as it is, and that's with adult, the way he behaves towards adults. If he's trying to get teenagers in there too, not very good. But anyway, now apparently 2 US senators have warned Meta boss against alleged plans to target underage minors in a bid to salvage his all or nothing bet on the metaverse. Democrats, I hasten to add, presumably Republicans, think corruption of youth is the ideal way of training future voters. But these are Democrats. They're altogether more sensible. Right. Anyway, Wall Street Journal has been posting that Horizon Worlds has been shrinking since it was actually in the last article. I mean, even the people who built it won't use it, And I don't know how he managed to spend $26 billion on it, because it's crap. It's like a Second Life in the year 25, maybe, and only one region, Second Life at that. It's odd. It's odd. But anyway, this advisory, or this report, I should say, comes from Fortune.com, Fortune.com, and the previous linked article, as it were, was at theverge.com. So anyway, stop misbehaving, Zuckerberg. Give all your money away and retire somewhere. Right. Okay. Back to VentureBeat yet again. And this is an opinion piece, as you could probably know, but basically, virtual reality is finally ready to revolutionize education. Well, if you want a headline, you got one. Some would say that this has been the case for a long while. Increasingly, when people talk about virtual reality these days, they are talking about headset land rather than the old generic phrase of virtual reality that could have been on a 2D screen or whatever. Anyway, the author had an experience 25 years ago that changed his perspective, and he was running an early virtual reality company called the Immersion Corporation. He got the name right for that, I think. He had surgical procedures and all sorts of stuff going on. Even though he had no medical training himself, he was getting a lot of credit for what he was doing. Where did it go from here? Yeah. Anyway, he's sort of updated himself. I mean, he's saying that after 25 years, there's absolutely no really conceivable reason that VR can't be used to totally revolutionize education. I'm sure some educators would agree, just as some educators would think, nah, no, I'm not going near that thing. It's a time of change. But I would argue that hygiene matters aside, schools schools in particular, I think classrooms will probably be in the future a very apt place for students, kids to break in to serious use as opposed to gaming of virtual reality. What was it? Would have been 20, even 10 years ago. That kids with not wealthy parents, often the first place they would encounter a computer to help them learn would be in the classroom, because they wouldn't have one at home. And I think it could very much be the same case with VR headsets, which by and large are pretty expensive. But I don't know. It'd be nice to see them in classrooms, or if only in one classroom. Students could go into one classroom to learn something in VR and then go back to a normal classroom for other things. So an enhancement sort of technology. Anyway. I'm rabbiting as usual. You'll find this at venturebeat.com, venturebeat.com. I'm moving on to the Cyprus what the blazes? Right. Okay, this is an unusual one for me. I guess it's the cyprusmail.com, cyprus-mail.com. And again, education here. Teachers cultivate empathy using VR technology. And, it's probably I think empaths, or people with empathy, do tend to relate more to, other people and sensibilities anyway, but particularly in sort of virtual reality. I don't know what it is really. Anyway, over 100 teachers cultivated skills such as empathy using virtual reality technologies during training across the island as part of the European Erasmus project. The island in question, of course, being Cyprus, because we're reading the Cyprus Mail. But quite interesting, a small place like Cyprus, and you're talking about 100 in-service teachers participating in all this, along with the University of Technology and the Carlos University of Madrid, which of course is not Cyprus, but so they have an application called VR Teacher, and etc. So, well, if you're into education, and especially an educator, maybe this could well be of interest to you. So you find the article at cyprusmail, SYPRUS dash mail.com. And a lot of educational clips there, including this. This next one is from the Times Higher Education Bulletin, or rather timeshighereducation.com. TIMESHIGHEDUCATION.com, and don't ask me to read that again. Right, the library and the metaverse, a match made in heaven. Gosh golly. The Monterey Institute of Technology is sharing their tips after designing a virtual escape room that includes library skills. Okay. Interesting stuff. This looks like it could be Vibella or one of the things. It doesn't really say, does it? Oh, it's actually only right. It's actually only quite a short piece here. Right, okay. On the website itself, it's a somewhat longer article. For some reason, my screen reader has condensed it to practically nothing. Okay, timeshighereducation.com if you want to read about this. The title of the article is The Library and the Metaverse, a Match Made in Heaven. Right, moving down, and we come to Forbes.com, and guess what we've got at Forbes? No surprise here, it's the weekly end of the week roundup from Charlie Fink, as opposed to the video I showed you at the beginning of the show, which was literally yesterday. This was at the end of the week, Thursday, Friday, just a text article basically. Sort of rounding up all the kind of new stuff. Straightforward here, no discussion like on the video show. It's just a quick roundup of articles from the news, including Show Me. I come tomorrow. I've forgotten how to pronounce that. But
That's
anyway,
all right. Right.
it's called Show Me. Show Me. There's a nice picture. That is a virtual world in somewhere called Avalon. They've raised $13 million to build an interoperable digital universe. Haven't they all? Meta again, Ray-Ban collaborate. Oh, apparently the new Ray-Ban smart glasses are due shortly, and major enhancements to the original ones. Right, literally taught into existence by AI. Well, they're talking about AI again here, aren't they? Yeah, there's it's very much the thing to talk about these days with pros and cons, but a lot of people are understandably coming round to the AI thing on the basis of it being a tool and enhancement to what you already do, as opposed to the AIs that just cough up a painting by scanning, scanning 5,000 other paintings, creating a montage, and then filtering it so that it looks like one, one artist's work in a certain style. But it will all sort itself out in the end. But apparently, people writing code have found the chat GPT or whatever it is to be actually a very wonderful shortcut. They're getting puzzled and they can't find out what's wrong with their code, so they ask the chat GTP, and it finds the exact answer for them in a couple of seconds. So a couple of weeks of coding saved. So that's an example of it being used as a tool, I guess, rather than creating fake work or whatever. No, I don't know. A bit like somebody was. Yeah, the new name for Facebook is Fake Book, apparently, although it's probably not new at all. But nope. Fake world. How long before AI controls the fake book? Oh, didn't it already? I thought it did. Right, moving on. Oh, we're at the end here, actually. Mental health and VR, the role of emerging technologies in transforming mental health care. There's been quite a theme this week when you think of all the links I've been pulling up. A lot about using VR in medical or therapeutic settings, really. This is about the founder of Meta Wellness. I think they're using the word meta, but the meta in Meta Wellness is not the meta as in Zuckerberg. Okay, role of VR in mental health care. Again, all this is sort of summary sites, really, but you're either interested or you're not, really. But some good information there, generally speaking. arpost.co, arpost.co. And yeah, the final, my final web link of the week. Yeah, oh, how good is that, eh? How to stay safe in social VR. Blocking a meeting in VR is easy. Maneuvering around complicated situations is a lot harder. That's a really dark, imposing illustration, and I'm not sure what it's meant to be. Anyway, it's something called Nesmus VR. Okay. Talking of virtual world safety features, people refer to blocking and muting as key tools. And do they work? Yes and no. Personal bubbles can be helpful, etc., etc. But virtual reality is currently experiencing a reckoning with the subject of community management. And um, you don't really have to be VR to have that problem, as Mark Zuckerberg will attest, I should think. You can't even do it with a website. What you meant to do in VR. Fixing the problem is a two-part effort. Safety policies should be updated to scale with the number of users on the platform. The more users that are regularly logged in, the more the company should practice social neutrality in order to avoid users sniping at each other over favoritism, etc., etc. Bad actors sometimes gravitate to figures of authority in digital communities in order to gain reputation through association, and in turn their harmful actions can make staff look complicit, even if that staff member doesn't completely know what the hell's going on, etc., etc. So a bit of analysis here. That's a nice phrase. Understand that you are the source of your own power. But that's not an excuse to impose your power on others. He didn't say that bit, but I added that bit. All right. Okay, so despite the simple task of, well, the idea of the post, quite a long post there looking at different ways other than just blocking and muting in VR, how you can possibly stay safe in social VR. So I don't believe it. I've got through all those, and we haven't got any standalone videos this week, as far as I recall, which is very unusual. I normally have to really go through them. Right, and remove that item. So just popping back here, news pics. Oh, okay. Just a couple of pictures to put on screen before we go. This, well, I got this from Mr. Metaverse here on. It was a conference on Discord. Oh gosh, I'm there too. This was an avatar called MTV. No relation to the MTV, of course. But he was broadcasting his music scene. Now that may look very odd, like really bad video, right? But it's not. It's volumetric video, and he was able to change angles all around that room so you could see him at different angles on video as he was broadcasting. The price to pay at the moment is, of course, the definition of all this room. It's basically he's in a 3D box, and he can move around the box to show you himself as he's filming and talking. This is all live, by the way. Far be it from me to understand the exact mechanics behind this, but I mean, it's potentially the future of video. You won't be every scene will possibly be 3D. In other words, you'll be able to move around in the video. I'm not talking about these tricky ones that are just like panorama tricks at the moment. This would be a live video, which is actually being streamed, maybe on YouTube or somewhere. This was on Discord, but using volumetric encoding, and I don't know. I think there were 4 cameras, but it was intriguing because he just switched it from one moment from that view, and then the next minute we were seeing him from behind. No indication where the cameras are, but it looks crude at the moment. But it was pretty impressive actually. There for those of us that were there watching it, so rather nifty. Okay. Okay. Oh, how? What's his name? Hamlet Hoare, New World Notes, had a post on this, as well as talking about a fair share project he's involved in. But Rosedale was also talking about something called Noster, as I guess maybe it's something he likes as a sort of alternative to Mastodon or something. I had a look at it and I felt it was too complex for an average person to get into, but I can see where he's going with it. So if you're interested in, experimental open metaverse or open web stuff, really, you might want to look out Nosta, N-O-S-T, and then just the R, find out a bit more there. Just a nice quote here. Amy Lemire is CEO of WXR Funds. This is WebXR stuff. So she thinks education and reaching younger generations are really important, inspiring students that are in college and just starting their careers, even more the people that have yet to choose their careers. More and more colleges and universities have a spatial computing or XR-based component to their education, and we can demonstrate the potential and support for what's possible. It may help encourage more women, especially in minorities, to engage. Well said. Oh, and this one's rather interesting. It was just the illustration with the headline, Colombia, this is for real, they've decided to use virtual reality, a very primitive looking virtual reality there actually, for a court hearing. Yeah, the place where you're guilty or innocent and get sent to prison and all the rest. But they had a problem. Nobody could read anyone's body language. Which, when you think of it, is so bloody obvious, isn't it? I mean, a lot of VR is trying to accommodate this. But, this is a bit like companies jumping into Second Life 15 years ago, not knowing what it was, but being told they had to have a presence, Is the time right to hold a court hearing in the metaverse? Well, personally, I think not, as a rule, unless, they do a lot of research into what would be a suitable platform to do it with. And I think I would imagine security might be a bit of a problem too. Sort of with prototype technologies. But there you go. Anyway, it makes absolute sense to me that nobody could read anyone's body language. It really isn't that advanced there. You can lift your hand. You can see you holding your hand up. Can I speak, please? They can see that. But they can't, what it's like you watch on video or even in fiction, somebody's in a witness box and the actor, or actually the real person, even better, there's giveaways in their mannerisms and things. You think, God, he's shady, or he seems like an okay guy, I believe him. They can't do that with the metaverse course. Simple as that.
So Mel, I have to ask, what does our body language of our avatars say about the news?
It says that it's not fake news because anything that was fake news would have been better produced than this.
I was going to say we're objective, unemotional presenters of the news.
Yeah, that too.
We just tip our heads back and forth and flap our hands on the desk.
Oh boy, yes. Yeah, I guess so. Okay, well, it's time to wrap the show, unless you've got anything else to say, James.
No, I don't. No.
I thought it was going to be, I just socially looked at the clock, and I think we have been on there for about an hour, so there we go. Yeah. Getting ready for another show in about half an hour, so busy days, Sundays these days. Yeah. Okay, well, I hope you've all enjoyed watching the show, giving you a bit of a brief idea of what's in the news these days. I know, but I didn't realize at the time that there's so many educational and sort of health type things this week, but there they were. Mm-hmm. We'll be back with a similar show next week, but not the same items, because we don't work on repeat. If you want a repeat of this show, you can go to YouTube, Malbone's Metaverse channel, and choose to replay it at any time. Even next century, when there won't be news at all. But, archaeologists will want to know what the news was.
Right.
Yeah, so they'll go to YouTube if it's still there and look it up then. Okay, so it's thanks to James here. Thank you, James.
You're welcome, Matt.
And from both of us, we're out of here. Have a good week. Stay safe, everybody. And it's a wrap. Bye for now.